The Story of Ruth, Part 2. After Naomi and Ruth arrived in Bethlehem, they needed food. Ruth said, "Let me go into the barley fields to pick up the leftover grain." The poor could pick up grain that the harvesters had left on the ground. "Go ahead, my daughter," Naomi replied. Ruth went into the fields belonging to Boaz. Boaz was a relative of Naomi's dead husband Elimelech. Later Boaz arrived and greeted the harvesters. "The Lord be with you." The harvesters replied, "The Lord bless you." Boaz noticed Ruth collecting grain with the poor. "Who is that woman?" he asked the man in charge of the harvesting. "She is the Moabite who returned with Naomi," he answered. "She asked permission to pick up grain and has been working hard." Boaz went across to Ruth. "Stay in these fields with the women who work for me," Boaz told her. "I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. When you get thirsty, help yourself to the water jars the men have filled." Ruth bowed down before Boaz. "Why are you treating a foreigner so kindly?" she asked. "I have been told how you have cared for Naomi," Boaz answered. "May God, under whose wings you have taken refuge, richly reward you. Even though I am lower than one of your servants, you have spoken kindly to me and put me at my ease," Ruth responded. At mealtime, Boaz invited her to eat with the other harvesters. "Have some bread and dip it in the wine vinegar," he said. He offered her roasted grain. Ruth ate all she wanted. When Ruth got up to continue working, Boaz gave secret orders to his men. "Let her gather among the sheaves without telling her off. Even pull out some stalks from the bundles and drop them for her to gather." Ruth busily gathered grain until the evening. Ruth started to beat the stalk on the hard ground to separate the grain. This was known as threshing. She gathered the barley and took it home to Naomi. It was a large amount, about 10 kilograms. She also brought Naomi the food left over from the meal she had with Boaz and the harvesters. "Where did you gather grain today?" Naomi asked. "Who is the man who has been so kind to you?" "Boaz," Ruth replied. "The Lord bless him," said Naomi. "He is a close relative we know as a guardian redeemer. How kind of him to look after a relative who is in need." From that point on, Ruth continued gathering grain in the fields belonging to Boaz. She stayed close to the other women gathering grain, knowing she would be safe. She worked hard in the barley harvest, and then in the wheat harvest that followed, making sure that Naomi had enough food to eat.
In those days, there were not many ways in which women could earn a living. We remember that Naomi and Ruth were very poor. The law says the leftover grain could be left for the poor people to pick up. So this is how Ruth was able to get grain and make food for them to eat. The field belonged to a man called Boaz. When Boaz found out that Ruth was Naomi's daughter-in-law, he allowed her to pick up some planted grain with the full heads as well. Ruth worked hard all day. In fact, Boaz told his servant, who was in charge of the workers, to pull some good grain for her to pick up without her knowing. His kindness even went further, because he allowed her to drink when she wanted. He told the servant that she was only to pick from this field. the servant obeyed Boaz. Boaz told Ruth that her kindness towards Naomi would be blessed by God. She left her own parents to be with Naomi. "The Lord will reward you all you have done," said Boaz. So this story today shows us that if we are faithful to God, he will be faithful to us. If we are kind to others, even when perhaps they don't even deserve our kindness, that we will be pleasing God. We should be like Boaz, going much further than just being kind towards each other. We can help each other in many ways, even in these strange times that we are living today through COVID-19. We can shop for the vulnerable people, for the old people. We can be more in touch with our friends and relatives just by saying, "Hi, how are you today?" We can all go that extra mile for others who need help. Boaz shows this in the story of Ruth.
Today's memory verse is from Ruth chapter 2 verse 12. "The Lord will reward you for all you have done."